weekend, the Appalachian Pioneer Program will be hosting their Strings in the Springs event at Gray Line Station.
And hopefully they'll get some great weather for it. And we are welcoming back Austin Shuck to tell us all about it. Thank you so much for being here, Austin. So tell us, Strings in the Springs, what is that about?
So I run a nonprofit called Appalachian Pioneer Program. You all kind of just touched on it, and the goal is to kind of just provide a platform to people of Kentucky and Appalachia that are in some way being craftspeople, business people, or are presenting their art through string music, bluegrass, folk music, essentially all the good stuff that we love. But for some reason, there's not a huge platform in Central Kentucky, so we're bringing the culture of Appalachia to Central Kentucky and trying to showcase that this weekend.
So you did say this was a nonprofit, correct?
Yep.
Tell us where the proceeds go.
So for this event, in the past, we've been kind of, unfortunately, having to do disaster relief. Luckily, nothing crazy is going on currently. So our goal is to just kind of continue to raise money to be able to have events like this. So it's just to kind of present the culture of Kentucky and Appalachia and use these incredible musicians to also show how many incredible artists aren't just musicians, but we have a jewelry maker coming, we have a soap maker coming, we have tie-dye, we have a bunch of, we have an artist and author and just stuff like that, trying to show all of the culture that we have. And by us having opportunities to have events like this, we're able to raise money to continue to do events like this.
To be able to preserve the culture, and how long have you been doing this, and what got you started?
So actually, Nicholas Jamerson and Christopher Bentley of Sunday Best were two of my biggest influences. I grew up with those guys, and they're a little bit older than I am, but I always took great influence from them. They had an event called A Christmas Miracle in 2020, and I cried. There was only like 20 people there. It was during the lockdown, so it was like only like 15 people were allowed in a room. I was very fortunate to get invited, and I had started my podcast. We had built somewhat of a platform, and I realized, oh wow, we can use music and the things that we love to not only to promote the people we love, but to help the people we love. And so since 2020, we've been just using that platform to make an impact. We've done stuff for disaster relief. We've done stuff for our annual Christmas project. So there's like over 20 families in Kentucky we've given like a $500 Christmas to. We've given checks of $6,000, $2,000, $1,500 to just many families that have experienced some sort of loss. My family lost our home in 2012 to a tornado, and so we just kind of keep trying to pay it forward today.
All right, let's talk about you now. You've got a very successful podcast, right? What's it called?
It's called What the Shuck. We were actually just named the top podcast in Appalachia this past month. So that's 12 states. We're very, very happy about that. We've been working really hard, and the first few years we didn't get a lot of recognition. We're not doing it for recognition, but it's cool to see that people are seeing what we're doing and it's being received well.
Well, what can people expect when they listen to What the Shuck?
I know.
So
Stop saying it.
You all love What the Shuck. But so it's going to be just a variation of musicians, educators, essentially anybody that's from our region that is some way taking the narrative that we have nationally that's negative, and they're showing that we have innovators and problem solvers through the things that they love, whether it's a musician or a business owner, or I've had former professors on, so it's really cool to kind of get an eclectic look of what's happening in Kentucky. My friend Phil Barnett coined myself as the Appalachian Joe Rogan, so if you like the Joe Rogan experience, it's going to be something similar to that.
Oh, that would be a wonderful time.
So you're from Eastern Kentucky originally? Where are you from?
I'm from West Liberty, Kentucky, went to Morehead State, so I love that area of Eastern Kentucky a lot, but I've lived in Lexington for 7 years and have kind of taken this on as my new home, but definitely still do a lot of work in Eastern Kentucky.
So before we go ahead and give us the deets for Appalachian Pioneer Program one more time.
So this Saturday from 6 to 11, we're going to be having music from Dark Moon Hollow, Nari, Brother Smith, and Lucas Wayne, Clark Kissick, and then also from the Hammer and the Hatchet. And these are going to be people coming from Illinois, from Indiana, from Eastern Kentucky, from Central Kentucky, from California, people that have been heavily influenced by the music that we love so much, and they wouldn't know that stuff without Appalachia. So we're trying to continue to just influence people to do that same thing.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you all again for having me.
We're going to have to check you out Saturday.
Yeah.